And who am I? That's not a secret I'll never tell. You know you love me. XOXO. Gossip Girl.
What's up? We got Gossip Girl Season 4, Episode 13, Damien Darko. This episode starts off with Chuck and Raina in bed together. Wow, that was quick. Eric texting Serena hoping they can meet for lunch, and Blair and Serena getting dressed for the day. Serena's off to have breakfast lunch with Ben and Blair is headed to start her new internship. Outside, Dan is walking to his internship, which is starting that day. He thanks Lily for getting him the position, and she invites him to breakfast, but he, of course, says decline. At the Vineyard Woods, Lily said that her kids are icing her out. Again, you deserve it, Lily. After all you did, after you, again, as in the last episode, she forced Serena's signature, sent a man to jail, and also gaslighted Chuck. Of course, she sent a man to jail, forced Serena's signature, and the third reason was she sent him into jail, forced Serena's signature, and my third reason for this one is that she lied to Chuck. So, for 2 reasons, of course, her kids are icing her out. Despite her getting, her kids are icing her out despite getting Ben on parole. Yeah. Okay, Lily, just because you get a guy on parole doesn't mean your kids are gonna be like, yay, we love you again. No. Just because you get a guy on parole doesn't mean your kids are gonna run to you and say, yay, we love you again. Let's hang out. No. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. You have to earn their trust, Lily. Yeah, literally. She's like, oh, her kids are still icing her up despite her getting banned on parole. But, yeah, her kids are not. It's going to take a while. Yeah. Meanwhile, Serena and Ben have breakfast. He tells her that he's moving to Ithaca to help a friend. I don't know if I'm saying that right. To help a friend with his farm, and that he's leaving next day. She pretends to be okay with it, and they say goodbye. On the way out, he sees a help wanted sign on the window of the diner, and Serena calls Rufus to see if he still has a community garden plot. Elsewhere outside, Dan and Blair are making plans about movies and exhibits to see together. Neither share where their internships are, but agree to meet on Sunday to hang out. Also on the street, Serena runs into Damien, who tries to apologize for selling the drugs to Juliet, but yeah, she blows him off, saying, yeah, bro, yeah, he tries to say, oh, he's so sorry that he sold the drugs to Juliet that Juliet used to roofie her, but she's like, yeah, right, bro, I'm not gonna forgive you, and she starts to say, yeah, she doesn't want to hear what he has to say, and leave. Blair begins to internship at a W magazine, which I guess I double there because of comma or double, but it's W, and meets her boss, Emily Lawrence. Maybe she's the secret daughter of Johnny Lawrence from Cobra Kai. But Blair is disappointed when she learns that she'll be interning with girls from Princeton, Yale, Penn, and Parsons. However, her mood becomes worse when she discovers Humphrey, he's also interning at the magazine. Oh yeah, David Blair. Yeah, Humphrey. At the Vineyard Woods, Jonathan arrives to bring Eric some books of his he forgot at school. Lily mentions that Eric has spent a lot of time with Elliot, but Jonathan informs her, yeah, sadly, he and Eric broke up weeks ago. Sadly, that we never saw their relationship. We only saw them hang out, he broke up with his girlfriend, and then we saw them kind of hanging out, with Dane, with Serena, with Dane and Blair, with Dane and Nate, and that's all we saw of him. Lily's confused since she was under the perception Eric stayed with him the night before, but it's revealed, yeah, Eric hasn't been staying with Elliot. He's been hanging out with Damien. Meanwhile, Serena goes to visit Ben at the halfway house and is shocked to see how bad the area is and the house is. At the W. Blair tries to manipulate Dan into quitting, but he gets Eppley's attention instead to cover up her threat. She tells Dan that Dan was talking about how much he'd rather work for New Yorker. Eppley isn't offended and offers to let him write a special piece for the magazine and introduce him some people. At the Vanderwoods, Eric arrives home to find Johnson and Lily waiting for him. She confronts him about lying, but Johnson asks to speak to Eric alone. She agrees and he asks what's going on. Eric admits it's been a rough few weeks and that he misses Jonathan. And Johnson offers to come meet him to the W party that evening. At W, I'm just going to keep using the double phrasing. The W phrasing. At the double, Blair tries hard to sabotage Jan, but her efforts seemingly fail every time. At the Empire, Howard arrives to tell Nate that he just got a job. Nate's happy for him until he learns that the job was Russell. Chuck also arrives home and informs him about Howard's new job. Back at the W, Blair tells Dan that she's mad that he ruined her internship. They overhear about a party disaster and make a bet to each to bring a new editor to the party. Whoever brings the best one gets to stay at the magazine, and the other will resign. They resolve not to sabotage each other and shake hands. At the Vanderwoodsons, Serena arrives to take Eric to lunch, but also has an envelope for Lily that was down with Vanya. She asks to open the envelope and Rufus agrees that she should do it. She shakes it back and opens it for herself, finding $30,000 and a note to stay away from her family. She sees that it was for Ben and that he wrote back saying that he'll stay away for free. Yeah, maybe that's why Ben was being so suspicious earlier when he was talking from Serena, because Lily is paying him to stay away from her family. Again, Lily gets even more terrible now. They're really trying to show us that she's a terrible person. We already knew that, but wow, are they trying to, Lily, these 3 episodes, episode 11, 12, and 13, Lily has been a terrible person. Yeah, Eric comes out of his room and Serena tells Eric about Lily paying Ben to stay away from them, and Eric isn't surprised Lily paying someone else. Also, he leaves the apartment and, of course, they leave Lily alone. Because, yeah, she's a terrible mom and a terrible person. On his way out, Eric texts someone asking if they can meet. Of course, we know it's Damien, or it could be Jonathan. At the W, Blair and Dan have gotten in a confirmation from both authors that they will be coming. Meanwhile, Chuck meets with Raina at her hotel and asks her to leave have Howard fired. She refused, claiming that she didn't know his relation to Nate or the captain, and he tries to seduce her, but she again refuses. Outside the W. Blair is working and on the phone with Serena. She complains about Dan. Serena tells her about Lily paying off Ben. After they hang up, Dan comes back to the office and brings Blair lunch. When he goes back inside, she just takes out the party list again, but decides against sabotaging Dan and throws it away. At a bar, Ben is trying to complete a job application, and surprisingly, Damien shows up. Ben tells him that he knows Damien was the witness there who sealed Ben's fate. But Damien isn't phased. Eric then arrives in and he leaves Ben alone. After he's gone, Ben calls Serena at the W. But I know this whole W joke is probably getting old, but I just like saying it. I just like saying it because that's how the announcer would always say it at the end of every preview of Kamen Rider Double. G-Cut on Kamen Rider W. So I just have to say it that way because it's kind of funny. Back at the W. But Emily tells Dan that she knows Blair's kind of competitive. After she leaves, he calls Blair's office and tells her that there was a terrible mix-up. Bro, Dan, you literally made a handshake deal that you two weren't gonna sabotage each other. Look what you're doing, bro. You're literally sabotaging her. At the W party, Eric is surprised to see Rufus at the party alone. He misses that he needs the mayor, and the only reason he's there. Eric begins blowing off Jonathan and asks Damien for a second alone. Chuck arrives at the party and is surprised to see Blair working the door. Meanwhile, Serena meets with Ben at the party. He informs her they saw Eric and Damien, but Serena says there has to be an explanation since Eric hates Damien and drugs. She asks Jonathan if he's seen Eric, and he says that and says he hasn't. Serena asks about Elliot, and Jonathan is surprised that she didn't know they broke up. Bro, Lily, you asked Lily, and Lily was confused. Why do you think Serena would know? He sadly says that he was wrong and that Eric has changed, and he leaves the party and the show forever. Except for, I think he leaves the show. Yeah, this is Jonathan's last episode. I'm glad the dude got a haircut in his final episode, but still. Okay. Elsewhere, Dan and Blair meet and they discuss why neither of the officers are there yet. Dan assumes she sabotaged him but eats his words when Jeremiah arrives. Emily introduces herself to him and walks away with him. Blair realizes Humphrey sabotaged her. Meanwhile, Chuck meets with Raina at the party. He tells her that he can't trust her yet because his father's legacy on the line, but she's no longer interested in him in any way. Away from the party, Ben and Raina look for Eric and they find him buying drugs from Damien. They cover it up by pretending to be dating. Upstairs, Blair confronts Dan about sabotaging her and threatens to tell Emily, but he begs her not to. They engage in a physical altercation that only ends up with them both on the floor, being seen by Stefano, Edgar, and Emily, who fires them both. At the Empire, Howard asks Nate if he had Chuck get him fired. Howard reaffirms that he sees Chuck as family and would never hurt him, but he's sleeping with Raina. Nate tells him that that's Chuck's decision, but Howard needs a second chance to start over. Howard is still angry that Nate had him fired and leaves the apartment. Back at the W. Blair and Dan are packing their desks, and Blair explains that Eleanor didn't get her the job, and that she worked hard to get in. Dan realizes that Blair really want the internship, and that isn't as a big deal to him. And Sally watches as she walks out the door. Back at the party, Serena tries to tell Eric that they shouldn't be with Damien. Ben tries to help and gives Eric advice on pretending to be someone he's not by mixing up with the wrong people. Eric admits that he's been lonely and Damien's a distraction from the craziness of their lives recently, but promises not to see him again. Rufus approaches and asks for a moment with Serena alone. He reminds her that Ben is partially responsible for what happened, but she says he only did it as a revenge. She excuses herself to find Ben. Back at the office, Dan calls Emily and says to her that he's confessed something. Back at the party, Rufus asks Eric if he's doing drugs. Eric admits he was, but isn't anymore, and only hangs with Damien because he's the one who would listen to him. Outside, Serena catches Ben and tells him that she wanted to be his friend, but he finally tells her that he knows she's interested in him and that he doesn't replicate her feelings and never has. Ooh, she got shut down. The next day, Blair and Serena eat breakfast in Blair's bed, discuss the night before. In the middle of the conversation, Emily calls Blair and asks why she isn't at work. Blair reminds her that she was fired, but Emily explains that Dan took credit for inviting Jeremiah and admitted that the whole debacle was being his fault. Blair agrees to come in and goes to get dressed. Outside, Rufus meets with Ben and offers to let him move into the loft with Dan. Ben asks for some time to think about it, but thanks him anyway. At the Empire, At the Empire, Nick calls Howard's hotel to discover he's already checked out and gone. At Russel's office, he agrees to hire Howard back and promises there's no conflict with Chuck or Nate, and that everything he might need he can provide. Meanwhile, Chuck goes to see Raina, and she informs him that Howard would do anything to acquire Bass Industries, but Chuck tells her that he doesn't care and wants to continue seeing her, and she agrees to give him another chance, and they kiss. At the WA, Blair considers calling Dan, but doesn't. Instead, she tells Appleby that Dan was never really her friend. At the Waldorf, Serena gets a call from Rufus, who tells her that he offered the law. She offers the law like she suggested. At the same bar from before, Ben pins Damien to a wall and threatens to tell his father about his drug dealing if he doesn't stay away from the Vanderwoods. Damien realizes that Blair actually likes Serena, but Ben doesn't confirm or deny. He walks away, and Damien calls to see Eric if he can hang out as friends, and Eric agrees, ending the episode. So Eric lied. He's still gonna see Damien, and maybe still do drugs. And also Ben lied. He does love Serena. Also, I think Blair was lying there. Literally. I think, come on. She and Dan have been through so much together. She can't just right now say that she doesn't want to be friends with him. She and Dan have been through so much together. Being from enemies to kind of friends to enemies. But now they're back to friends. But she's saying that they never were friends was probably just her saying that so she wouldn't have to lose her job. So yeah, this was Dan and Blair, and So what's gonna happen? I wonder. We have next episode. We got the next episode. Panic Roommate, and. So, we got the next episode, Panic Roommate. So, we got Panic Roommate next. So, I wonder how the season's gonna go. They gotta be starting to have Damien as the main villain. First we had Juliet for the first 11 episodes as the main antagonist. And now we got Damien as kind of the semi-recurring villain. I wonder who'll be the real villain of this season. So, Again, as I said, Lily can't just expect to basically... And now they basically don't like her even more now that they realize that she was paying Ben off not to be with Serena. So Lily's basically digging an even grave for herself because every time her lies get discovered, she wants her family back, but they keep discovering every shady thing she's done. So they're like, we want nothing to do with you. Which is understandable. So, this is the end for this video. And I'll see you next time for Season 2, for Season 4, Episode 14, Panic Roommate. So, we're almost done. But still, this season has been really good. And, I'll see you next time. Since I didn't say you last time, you know you love me. XOXO Gossip Girl.